Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the 2 to 5 player game Karak. And this is published by Cosmos Games. And in this game, you are going through this dungeon trying to gain the most loot before you defeat the dragon at the end. So let's go ahead down the table here. I'll give you a general idea how to play the game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is a game of Karak, which is a 2 to 5 player game. In this game, you're going to be delving through the dungeon and trying to gain as much loot from this bag as you possibly can. The person who has the most at the end of the game wins. You could also get cursed with a mummy throughout the game, and basically if you defeat a mummy in the game, you're going to give this curse out, and the player won't be able to use their active abilities. Well, let's just go over how to play this game. You're going to start the game by hunting for this tile here, which is the little one with the picture of the dragon on the back, which is different from all the rest. And that's your starting tile. You're going to take all the players' standees, and you'll place them out on the starting tile. Then you're going to give each player one of these really cool dual-layered boards, and they're going to put their character here and all their health along the side. And there's a bunch of different characters that you could pick through for the game. They have the same backside on here, so you could randomly assign them to kids if you want. And all of them have like a little ability on here, and really important, especially if you're playing with the younger audience, like the lower end, like the 7 or 8 year olds. You're going to want to explain their character to them. And they all have these little symbols on here that reflect in the rule book what their abilities are. Like this one here has magical affinity. The wizard knows how to use magic flames more efficiently, and for this reason, his scrolls are not consumed when used. Now, scrolls are these little guys right here. You could have up to 3 of them. They give you +1 on your attacks if you want. When you use them, they're normally used up, but the wizard has the ability where that does not occur. The other ability on the wizard here is astral walking. The wizard can move through walls. Thus, he does not have to respect the continuity. Oh my gosh. So there's also another symbol on here. So they all have 2 abilities. This one here is astral walking. This lets the wizard walk through walls, basically. So I don't have to respect the layout of the dungeon like the other characters. And there's a good bit of characters to pick from with all sorts of unique abilities. Here, I'll show you another one here. This one here is a pretty straightforward one with 2 different abilities on here. This is combat training. The swordsman is an experienced fighter, and strikes are always precise. If any die roll yields a 1, it can be re-rolled. That's really cool. Unstoppable. If at least one of the dice yields a 6 during combat, the swordsman can continue his turn afterwards, even if they don't defeat the monster. So we'll get into that in a second. So that's really cool. You have this cool wizard here. Well, I guess this is like a mage sort of thing. You have this warrior lady here. You have this straight up knight, and you have this like elven-ish warrior here too. And all have really cool abilities. So every child's going to get a hero, and they're all going to have different abilities. And they'll be able to use them throughout the game unless they get the mummy's curse. Now, they're going to only have one person ever cursed in the game at a time. And what will happen is if you defeat a mummy, which I'll show you how to defeat monsters and stuff in a minute, they'll put this little token over their abilities, and they'll lose those abilities. Sorry, that should be all healths. Now, if someone else defeats a mummy in the future, or this player, they can move it to another player. But that's how the mummy thing works, just in case I don't run into it. But on your player's turn, they can move up to 4 times. So what I mean up to 4 times is basically, think of it this way. You can move until something stops you. Like you open a treasure chest, or you fight a monster. Those sort of things. So what you're going to do is I'm going to explore here, and I'll move my character onto here. Now this is just a normal hallway, so nothing happens. All right, so if we enter a room like this, we're going to go into the bag here, and we're going to pull out one of these chips here. And see, they're going to be a monster, so this one's like a level 6 monster, and I'll show you how that works. So if it's a monster and we end there, your turn's going to end after we deal with this monster. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll these 2 dice and hope that our number is greater than this monster. If it's less than the monster, we will lose a health and be booted out of the room. If it's equal to the monster, we will be booted out of the room. And our turn will end. If we defeat the monster, we have a higher number on here, which we do, we'll get the loot that's on the back, in this case, a scroll. And this is a special scroll. This one will let me tell me back into the healing room. And when you end your turn in any of these type of rooms with a little heart on it, you will regain all of your health. When you do so, you will discard that scroll. Now, let's say, oh, one other thing I wanted to mention too, let me see, is some of the loot that you could get in here is going to be weapons. And if you get a weapon as loot, so if I defeat these rats here and I get loot, they'll go on my board and I can have up to 2. And I'll add that number to my roll. And you can only ever have up to 2 weapons. You can have 1 key and up to 3 scrolls. Now, the other things that can flip or come out with this room is you can have a treasure chest come out. So let's grab a treasure chest. So here is a treasure chest. And these are we're trying to collect in there to win the game. Now, if I flip this over, put the treasure chest here, I don't have to end my movement. I can keep on going if I still have some more of my 4 moves. However, if I have a key, which I'll get keys from defeating various monsters like the skeleton here, I can spend the key and gain this, open it up and gain this loot. If I do any of that stuff, my turn will end. When you discard these, just put them out of the game. They don't go anywhere because the bag, whatever's in the bag will be in the bag. Now, someone will eventually get this dragon here, and as you can see, it's a 15. And if you have 2 6-sided dice, you can't get a 15. So you're going to need to get some of these weapons to have any chance of defeating this dragon. Once the dragon is defeated, the game will end, and the person with the most treasure will win the game. And that's basically it. You're going to get your character with its special powers. You're going to move through the dungeon with your 4 moves. You're going to be defeating monsters. You're going to be unlocking treasures and collecting them. And that's it. So let's go ahead back up the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on Karak. Okay, I really like this game. Karak is a really great kids game. Now, I'm thinking probably about between the ages of 7 and 10 is probably where this game is going to fit. And it's going to be a really fun, like, cooperative exploration game on there. I wouldn't focus too much on, like, how everyone's getting the treasures throughout the game, although the game does end with whoever has the most at the end of the points at the end of the game wins. But, you know, you don't really have to focus on that. You could focus on the exploration part, fighting the monsters, opening the treasure chests, getting really cool stuff. It's a lot of fun with that. It's a really fun little tile laying game. The length of the game is variable for when the dragon shows up. And when it does, you may or may not want to take out the dragon right away. You may just let that guy hang out in the corner while you go out and get more treasures or whatnot. Overall, really fun game. Cupola quality is really good. I love the dual layer board and the really thick cardboard and everything. And the standees are fine. Maybe I'll replace them out with miniatures in the future, but for now they're just great. So overall, I really like this game. I think for a kid's game between 7 and 10 years old, it is a good choice if you're looking for like a light dungeon diving game that is just going to be a fun time. So that's my thoughts on Karak. Thank you for watching.